October is cozy season, and I hope you guys are ready to see the 20 books I want to read during the month of October. There's so many good books, like thrillers and romances that are happy and fluffy, and romances that I hope will make me cry. Well, not hope, but you know, I just want all the vibes this season. So let's get into this video. Be sure to subscribe because there's new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So that's 3 times a week, every single week. And make sure to follow me on Goodreads because I read between 16 to 20 books a month, and so I am always giving lots of reviews. So yeah, let's get into this whole little TBR. What a Batch by Mimi Grace is the first book that I want to read in October. It is giving all the fall vibes. You guys can see like all the fall leaves on the front. It's about Gwen, who seems to have like the perfect life. Her whole life is together, and she's just missing like that, I don't know, little spark of romance in her life. And it also is about Anthony, who's had a crush on her for so long, and Gwen is his best friend's sister. So you guys know that it's gonna get messy. I'm really excited for this one. Anthony in this story actually ends up moving in temporarily with Gwen. So it says on the back, as they connect and grow closer, will Gwen stick to the dating plan outlined by the professionals because she wants to kind of have like a matchmaker to help her find someone? Or admit when it comes to love, there's no right way to fall. On a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young is a book that everyone has talked about and I want to read so badly, so I'm going to read it in October. I feel like it's a perfect time because this actually is set around Halloween. Both Winifred and I think his name is Bo, they meet at a Halloween party and they have a one-night stand, and one night literally changes everything. And that's what it says on the back, and it says, together Win and Bo decide to get to know one another as friends and nothing more, but as they both should know by now, life rarely goes according to plan. I don't want to spoil anything else. I'm literally reading what's on the back because one of my biggest pet peeves is when people will share like something that's in the book but not necessarily on the back of the book. So I'm really excited for this. I feel like this is gonna be a really good one. I've heard great things about it and I cannot wait to get into it. Faint Avenue is a very thick book, but it's a book that I'm not actually really nervous to read. It's by Sheree Lewis. I'll just read the back because I feel like it's pretty vague, which I kind of like with books where I like have never read from the author because I feel like I can really get immersed in the story. On the back it says, what happens when two souls bind together after leaving grueling chapters in their lives? A fire is set ablaze when Yasmin enters the Saint Hill household. She's offered an opportunity that would greatly benefit her, but soon realizes that the work may be too strenuous. Matters are made worse when larger-than-life personality enters her existence. He's everything that Yasmin imagined, but knows he's no good for her. However, his presence is way too commanding for her to ignore, and she soon finds herself confined in a web of chaos, or in his web of chaos. This just looks so good, and again, the words are really big. You guys can see all those gaps, which if you guys want to see if a book has a lot of dialogue, just look to see if there's like page breaks, and that'll give you a good idea if there's like a lot of dialogue or not. You guys know I love dialogue, and this book has a lot of that, so I feel like I'm gonna jump into this like right away in October. So many people have said that Karen Slaughter's books are good. I've never read a thriller from her, and this is called Pretty Girls. I cannot wait to read this one. On the back it says, the vanishing of a teenage girl and the killing of a middle-aged man, almost a quarter century apart. What could connect them? As they form a wary truce, the two sisters, the surviving sisters unearth the secrets that destroyed their family all those years ago and find the astonishing truth where they least expected it. I just read like the last paragraph. It's about sisters Claire and Lydia, and they pretty much had a disappearance of their sister 2 decades ago, and I guess there's a murder with, I think, one of their, Claire's husband. So it brings all of like the horror and the heartbreak and all of that back again because they're losing another person in their life. So I, again, know very little about this book other than like what I just told you guys, but I've heard that her thrillers are books that will keep you on the edge of your seat. So I feel like this will be a good one, and I also feel like October is the perfect time for thrillers, so this will be a good one. This is another diverse read, and it's called Fly With Me by Andy Burke. I actually just picked this book up and I want to read it so badly, so I just decided to add it into my October TBR. It's about a fly-phobic ER nurse. She literally does not like to get on planes. Her name is Olive Murphy. And she ends up, it looks like she ends up like saving someone's life or something. Yeah, it says a video of Olive saving a life has gone viral and started generating big sales for Stella's airline. And so Stella asked Olive to be her fake girlfriend because her airline is getting like so much press from her saving this person like on the plane. And it says, as the two grow closer, what was supposed to be a ruse feels more and more real. Could this be the romantic ride of their lives or an epic crash and burn? And I think this book is actually like a book that just came out, if I'm not mistaken. And there's also tons of dialogue in this too. I'm going to dive into some Christmas books just because I feel like I want to give you guys recommendations in November for Christmas books. And I feel like there aren't a ton of books that I don't know, I like around Christmas. I love Christmas books, but I feel like sometimes they're too cheesy and I like a good balance. And so I definitely have some recs that I'll be able to share when November comes around, but I also want to read some new ones so I can add in some fresh books that I like am just reading this year. And this is called The Holly Dates by Brittany Cherry. This is a Black romantic comedy. She's a Black woman and I'm not really sure like if he is white, Hispanic. It looks like he's, I don't know, he has black hair. Anyway, this is about Holly Jackson, who she ends up getting left at the altar, and after that she decides to go on a bunch of dates, and she goes to Kai's restaurant, he's like a grumpy restaurant owner, just wants nothing to do with her being there, and she takes all her dates there, and he gets so annoyed by her being there. And while he's there, he volunteers to help her find a boyfriend just to like get her out of his restaurant because she's there all the time on these dates. And then while he's helping her, he actually starts to get jealous and kind of realize that maybe he has feelings. And it says the more Holly fell for Kai's pick for her, the more overprotective he becomes. Kai quickly realized that all wasn't fair when it came to love in the holidays. He was going to have to step up his game if he wanted a shot at the ultimate prize, being Holly's favorite date. This looks like such a good Christmas read. I love books that are obviously set around Christmas, but I like when they, I don't know, just are more realistic, you know? Like I like the Hallmark vibes, but they also have to like not be too cheesy, and this seems like the perfect balance. I fell in love with books by Abby Jimenez last month, so I decided to add another one of her books into my TBR this month. This is called The Friend Zone, and it's by Abby Jimenez, obviously, and it's about Kristen Pearson, who pretty much is gonna do a procedure that will like make her not have children because I don't think she wants them. And it also says that she meets this guy who, his name is Josh. He seems like the perfect guy, but he wants a big family someday. And it says, Kristen knows he'd be better off with someone else, but as their attraction grows, it's harder and harder to keep him at arm's length. I think that this is such a good book, and I feel like it's very rare that authors dive deep into things that can like really tear couples apart, but you just don't like hear about very often. And someone wanting children and someone else not wanting children, I think is one of those big things. And it says the friend zone will have you laughing one moment and grabbing for tissues the next as it tackles the realities of infertility and loss with wit, heart, and a lot of sass. I genuinely do not know much about this book. It's called Dear Child by Rami Hassman. This is actually, I think, turning into a like Netflix series or something like that, or like Amazon Prime series. So I definitely want to read this month. I'm pretty sure it actually just came out as a series, but I'm not going to read the back or even give you like a ton of details about this because when I was in the bookstore, I was looking for thrillers, and while I was looking, I asked the lady who's working at the bookstore like of good thrillers she would recommend, and she said, if you've read The Silent Patient and you like The Silent Patient, this is a good book to read. And I really love that book, so I feel like I'll really like this. Again, I do not know much about it, and I don't even really want to read the back because I feel like that's enough to like make me want to read this thriller. The fact that it's becoming a show or like a movie. And if you like The Silent Patient, she said that I would like this. So Dear Child by Rami Hassman hopefully is one that I will really like as a thriller for the October season. One thing you really have to do if you want to read diverse reads is to get on Black TikTok. Like I feel like whenever I'm on Black TikTok, I get so excited about books on my TBR, and Relationship Goals by Christina C. Jones is a book that I think I recently picked up. I think it was like in my last haul. I will link the haul below, but I didn't really know a ton about it, and honestly the back is kind of vague. It says everyone is a stranger at some point, right? And then it just like is very, very, very vague. And so I wasn't really sure if I was gonna read this like this month or another month, but I love this author, and so I wanted to read it at some point. And literally on TikTok, a girl said that this book, she loved it so much because at the beginning of the book, the couple has like an incredible connection, and then they are, I think, at the airport, and they have this incredible connection, and then they go their separate ways, and they like can't stop thinking about each other. And so they have to like find each other, and it's just like a really good love story. That alone made me want to read this book. I really don't know much about it like from the back. I feel like it's pretty vague, but honestly I think that's a better representation of what the book's about than like what you read on the back. So again, if you're wanting to read diverse reads, look on Black TikTok or just other hashtags where people are sharing diverse reads, because it will get you excited for different types of books, because I think a large part of why people like to read is the community around it. And so if there's zero community around books that are diverse, then I think that people are less likely to read them. But if you are like listening to and watching videos and like seeing the excitement around a book that's written by maybe an indie author, an author that someone doesn't like talk about very often, new authors, or Black authors, queer authors, just authors who write lots of different types of books, I feel like you're more likely to pick them up. So again, read this book, and this is what I am putting on my TBR for this month as well. I feel like this book is giving Hallmark, and I'm here for it. This is another Christmas book, and this is the last Christmas book I'll be reading this month. It's called You Make It Feel Like Christmas by Toni Shiloh, and it's a Black love story. Both characters, the woman and the man, are Black, and it's set around Christmas. And it says, as if going home for the holidays, jobless and single, wasn't bad enough, she's dragged into a holiday season full of activities leading up to her sister's uber romantic Christmas Eve wedding to her ex-boyfriend. I literally can't. I feel like this is gonna be such a wild book. But it also says that her brother's best friend Waylon is in town, and it says he attends their Thanksgiving, and I guess he's gonna be going home for Christmas as well. So she like really gets wrapped up in like being back home with her family, and she helps Waylon's late mother's Christmas shop kind of like get a little bit of an extra spark, and that gives her a distraction around all that's going on. And it says that Star must decide what she wants out of life after the gifts are unwrapped and the ornaments are put away: to go back to New York City or to open her heart to a love that will last beyond Christmas Day. This is giving Hallmark, and I am here for it. I know very little about what this book is about, but so many of you guys have said that this book is wild, and I'm planning on reading it. I think, is this a dark romance? Comment below if this is a dark romance. I don't know if it is or not. I feel like it is, but I don't really know if this like falls in the category of dark romance. I do want to do a video coming up soon of me reading dark romances, because I've never read a dark romance. I also do not really know what this book is about. I do know that this is a reverse harem book, so take that with what you will. I, again, don't really know like just what happens. You guys, when I picked up this book, I was so surprised by just like the book and like reading about it that I don't even want to share what's on the back. So yeah, I'm gonna read this month. I just don't know how I feel about it, but my friend Andrea, when I went to Michigan, said this book is really good. So we'll see how I feel about it. It's called Credence by Penelope Douglas. I'm in the mood for a hockey romance, so I'm gonna read Sunny Disposition by Deanna Gray. I've never read anything by this author, but it says grumpy hockey player meets Sunshine Gamer, which I think is the coolest thing. And this month I actually am reading like 50% of the books that I like pick out are Black romances, and then the other 50%, or just like diverse reads in general, and the other 50% are just like thrillers and like all kinds of different things. But I am adding in Deanna Gray because along with those Black authors and just diverse reads, I also want to add in authors that are new to me. And I've never read anything from this author, and I've also never read anything from Mimi Grace either. So those are two new authors that I'm just like adding in. The cover of this looks so fun, and you guys know I love happy, fluffy, easy reads. And yeah, this is just a hockey romance with like a grumpy sunshine kind of vibe. This is the second book in Asian Monique's series, and this is called Sincerely Yours. The first book is called Dear Amelia, and it's about brothers who are literally like billionaires, and I'm here for it. It actually reminds me a lot of the Dreamland Billionaires series, because like it's all about brothers, and they're obviously super rich, and they like, you know, have different life stories. But this says Ezekiel Holloway was content with his career, the people in his life, and all that came with it, until her. One look at the self-assured Janae Martin, and nothing seemed right anymore. In fact, everything seemed wrong. What he thought was a solid foundation now had one too many cracks to ignore, and ignore it he would not. I've never read anything by Lucinda Berry, and I feel like this month I'm just reading a lot of books by new authors that are just, I don't know, been sitting on my shelf for a minute. And this is called Appetite for Innocence. It's a thriller, and it's about teenage girls who are kidnapped and they try to get away, and it says Ella risks it all to escape, setting herself and the other girls free, but only Sarah, the girl who's been captive the longest, gets out with her. The girls are hospitalized and surrounded by FBI agents who will stop at nothing to find the man responsible. Ella and Sarah are the key to their investigation, but Sarah's hiding something, and it isn't long before Ella discovers her nightmare is far from over. I'm shook. I'm literally shook. It says, be careful what you post online. Your next check-in might lead him right to you. So I've heard great things about this author, and I've heard great things about her being a thriller author that leaves you on the edge of your seat. So you guys know I love books like that. So I'm really excited for this, and I feel like it's perfect for cozy season. This is another book that I recently picked up, and it's called You with a View by Jessica Joyce, and it's a pretty long back cover, but there's a little synopsis, so I'll just read that. It says, two former high school enemies must reunite for a road trip inspired by their grandparents' broken engagement in this electric debut romance. And this is another author I've never heard anything about because it's obviously their first book. And I love supporting indie authors or just new authors in general. And I feel like this will be a really good one to read. And I, again, have never heard anything of this author, so it should hopefully be a good one. I've heard good things from, I think a couple of you guys DM'd me and said that you like this book. And the cover is honestly what drew it to me. So I will link the video below where I actually picked up this book and where I did the haul if you want to hear the whole back of the book. But this looks like a good one. I have heard so many people talk about this book, so many people on Black TikTok. It's called The Art of Scandal by Regina Black. Again, I do not know what this is about, but I will read it on the inside. It says, on the night of her husband Matt's 40th birthday. Oh, I do remember what this is about. Okay, so I remember reading the inside, and now it's coming back to me after that first half sentence. It's about Rachel, who she gets a sexy explicit text from her husband that was meant to go to another woman. And I guess he's some, I don't know, mayor who is planning on going to the White House, is really wanting to get high up in politics. So he can't afford a messy divorce, and so, or a messy split. I don't know if they're married. And it says that they decide to strike a deal. Rachel gets $1 million in their lavish house in the wealthy DC suburb of Oasis Springs, as long as she keeps playing the ideal black trophy wife until the election. But then Rachel meets Nathan, a very handsome, very lost 26-year-old artist, and their connection makes Rachel forget about being the perfect politician's wife. As Rachel reawakens Nathan's long dormant artistic aspirations, their attraction becomes impossible to resist, but secrets are hard to keep in a town like Oasis Springs, and Nathan has a few of his own. With the risk of scandal looming and their hearts on the line, they'll have to decide whether the possibility of losing everything is worth taking a chance on love. And this is also a debut, but I cannot tell you how many people have talked about this book. I literally see this all over Black TikTok, and there's so many authors on the back that have said that this is good. Tia Williams also said it's good, who she wrote 7 Days in June. So you guys know I'm all about this book. I feel like this will be at the top of my TBR. This book is giving enemies to lovers, and it's called Getting Schooled, and it's by Christina C. Jones. It's the first book in the Wright Brothers series. I love Christina C. Jones' writing, and you guys know I already picked up a book of hers for this month to read. And it talks about two people, Reese and Jason, who they are grad assistants. That's what Reese is doing, and Jason, he's 28. He is at Blackwood State University to finish his degree, and both of them are kind of infuriating to each other, but they're also attracted to each other. It says, this isn't a story of opposites attract, more like counterparts clash. Neither of them is afraid to do battle, and neither is willing to back down. Love and war, win or lose, somebody's gonna end up getting schooled. And there's also a ton more here, but it pretty much just talks about how they're both in school, and one's a grad assistant, and they keep running into each other. And her writing is always so good, and I'm really excited to read this. It's also a very short book, and I feel like these are good if you are maybe in a slump or you just want to have a quick read. This one is less than 200 pages. It's 194 pages, so love that for me, and I feel like this will be a nice little book to add in between some of the thicker books. Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman is a book that I didn't expect to pick up, but I'm going to be doing a book with dark romances, and I know that this is a dark romance, which is why I picked it up, and it's about Cora, who attends her sister's birthday party. She expects at most a hangover or a walk of shame by the end of it, but what she doesn't expect is to have a stolen wallet, leaving her stranded and dependent on her sister's fiance, Dean Asher, who is her arch nemesis and the thorn in her side. And then she really doesn't anticipate getting knocked out and waking up chained in a madman's basement with Dean in shackles next to her. So her and Dean have to like try to get out of here while this like crazy person has kidnapped them both, and I feel like this will be a really good introduction to a dark romance. Comment below some of your favorite dark romances because I do want to read more. I've never read them before, so for the video I think maybe I'll do 3, and I was thinking maybe this one, maybe Credence, and maybe one more. If Credence is a dark romance, I don't really know, but I'm trying to expand not only my books that I'm reading, but also like the types of books that I'm reading and the authors I'm reading from. So I feel like this will be a good one to like branch out into. This is a book that I actually heard about from someone in the airport. We were talking about books that we like, and she mentioned this one. It's called All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. I don't really know a ton about this book, but I kind of like to keep books like very, I don't know. I don't like to know too much about them if they're a thriller, and this is what that is. It says, twisty, chilling, and intense, All Good People Here is a searing tale that asks, what are your neighbors capable of when they think no one is watching? And she told me this was one of the best thrillers she's ever read, and then she also said that she did not expect the twist at the end, which I love a thriller that like really surprises me. Then after she like told me about the book, I was like, okay, cool. Looked it up on Goodreads, and I think the reviews are like 4.3 or something like that, and like everyone loves this book, so that's why I picked it up. I'm gonna keep it pretty vague, but if you really want to like look into it, I have all the books linked below for you guys to purchase if you want them. But this looks like a good thriller. It's called All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. I don't even know how I heard about this book, like literally at all, but it's called Untouchable by Sean, and it says, I met the love of my life when I was 10 years old. Ever since Tallulah Evans walked up to me with her gap-toothed smile and told me her name means princess, I've been entranced. For the last 20 years, we've been there throughout each other's storms, and somewhere along the line, I fell in love, deep in love. There's nothing I wouldn't do for her, which is how I found myself caught up in agreeing to be her FWB, knowing I wanted more, needed more. The problem is Tallulah isn't looking for more, and I get that. She's been burned more than once and isn't trying to repeat this cycle, but it's become harder to compartmentalize my feelings for her when all I want is everything when it comes to her. Literally love when a man is just obsessed with the woman that he like wants to be with. It just makes my heart so warm, and I feel like this will be a really good book to read. And that is my entire October TBR, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love sharing my entire TBR with you guys because I feel like it gets me so excited for the month and what I plan on reading. But again, I never fully stick to my TBR. Like, I think that every month I usually read about half or sometimes even less than half of what I put on my TBR because I'm a huge mood reader. But every single month for the past, I think 4 months straight, I've read 17 books. So I do read roughly like what I pick out or close to it, but I just don't always pick the books that I pick out. So you guys might see some different books that I picked out on my like wrap up at the end of the month, but that's totally fine because I know at some point I will get to these books and my mood will connect me with every single book at some point. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe, and the next video will be a 24-hour reading vlog. So make sure you guys come back on Saturday for another good video here, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!